Hello, you guys. Today we're going to be doing section 3.8 of IB Business Management. I'm pretty sure this is HL only, at least some parts of it. So let's begin. So firstly, we need to know what an investment appraisal is. So an investment appraisal is the quantitative techniques used in evaluating the viability or attractiveness of an investment proposal. So basically, it means when they use numerical data to see how much money they're going to make from an investment proposal, which is the reason for the words viability and attractiveness, to see if this investment proposal is attractive in the sense that it will make the investor money. Will it make it money? Will it make it money? Will it give returns? Most importantly, because sometimes, if not all the time, the investor needs to know whether they're going to be making sufficient amount of money from the investment they're making, if it's worth their money and their effort, right? So basically, it assesses and justifies the capital expenditure allocated to a particular project, and therefore assesses whether a business venture is worth pursuing and will be profitable. Again, very important. So both the time and the money is taken into consideration. Assist businesses in comparing different investment projects. Types of investment appraisal we have: payback period, average rate of return, and net present values. We have these three. So we're going to be beginning with payback period. So for payback period, it's basically the length of time. So it's basically time required for an investment project to pay back its initial cost. So basically, if a project costs $1 million, then we need to see the amount of time it takes to make $1 million from this project. So basically, to bring back its initial cost. That way, here the profit would be zero in this case, just because it brings back the initial cost of uh, of what they spent for the project. Okay, so what they invest in the project is very important because it's an investment. It's called an investment appraisal, right? So it looks at how long a business takes to recover its principal investment amount from its net cash flow. So basically, initial investment. Okay, from its net cash flows, meaning that net cash flow, we did this in our past videos, section 3.7, is basically cash inflows minus cash outflows. The shorter the payback period, the better it is for investing for the business. Why is that? Because, for example, they invested $1 million into that business, right? So that means that if they make the $1 million after 6 months, then they're good to go, right? But if they make that $1 million after 2 years, which is basically 4 times 6 months, right? So that's when 6 months passes. That means that it's not really going well, and it may take time to make profits and make winnings from that investment and benefit from that investment and make returns, which was the goal. Okay, so basically, yeah, so the shorter it takes to actually make the money that you already spent back, making your winnings zero, the better. The business may decide a cut-off period for the payback period. Okay, so they may decide a period where they can cut it off. So basically, payback period is basically the initial investment. So what was invested. So in this case, let's say the example I kept giving, which is $1 million, let's say. Then you have annual cash flow from the investment, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna teach you how to do the payback period. So what you do when you have payback period is that you have to draw this table. You have to draw a table where you have three categories. You have year, you have annual cash flow, and you have cumulative cash flow. So what does that mean? So let's say you have year zero. What happens at year zero is that the annual cash flow will be negative 1 million, just because you already invested 1 million and you didn't make anything, right? Because this is just year zero. This is literally when you started. Okay, this is just like, this is the racetrack, right? This is where you're starting. You're just starting, right? So you really can't make any annual cash flow because you just started, right? This is before anything started, actually. So the cumulative cash flow will also be a negative 1 million. When it's negative, always keep in mind that it's in parentheses. So in IB Business Management, negative number is between parentheses. Okay, very important to put your number between parentheses, right? So to continue, so basically that's for the $1 million. But then let's say in the second year they make 60,000. Okay, so what will happen is that the cumulative cash flow will be 1 million, okay, plus 60,000, which is basically equal to 940,000. Okay, so this is how you write it. Okay, and then when you make 80,000, then the number you're gonna get is basically 860,000. Again, they're all in parentheses just because just because they're negative, so they have to be in parentheses. Then you make 100,000, so then the number you end up making is basically 760,000. Sorry, but I don't want to confuse you with these numbers, but basically I'm just trying to understand what they mean. Yeah, okay. So I just want to explain just one thing here is that, okay, then the last thing before I explain is that this is gonna be basically 640,000 when you're done, right? So the money didn't actually pay back in the case I gave you. But for example, just here, because it's a different case, so basically, it's just in this case that these two, so 60,000 plus 80,000, they make 140,000. That's why. And basically that's true because it's basically 1 million minus 1 million plus 140,000, which is basically 860,000. So negative 1 million minus negative 1 million plus 140,000, 860,000, and then plus 100,000. So basically these three, you get 240,000. Then plus 120,000, you get 360,000, right? So these are we're just adding them. So basically, if you have negative 1 million plus 360,000, you get 640,000, right? So I really hope you got it, but these just explain. Now, so in this case, it didn't really pay back, but let's say it paid back. So basically, to know which month in year 3, for example, let's say it paid back in like between year 3 and year 4, right? So you want to know exactly when you do the extra inflow required annual cash flow in year 4. Okay, so what you end up doing is that you end up basically doing this, is that you see what extra money is required, and then you do this, and then you multiply it by 12 months just because you want to know it in months. So what you end up doing is that you see the extra cash entry required. Let's say in this case it's 760,000 in year 3. Let's say you do it in year 3, and then you divide it by the annual cash flow in year 4, which is 120,000, and then you multiply it by 12 just to get the number. Okay, now this is not right just because 760,000 is like really high, and then you get 120,000 in year 4. So this is like technically wrong just for the example I gave you, but this is generally how it really works. Okay, so this is how you get your in year 3. I'm just gonna do it in the calculator just so you guys can really get it. So I'm just gonna do this in the calculator. Okay, so basically in the calculator, the calculations you're gonna get is times 12. So basically you get, in this case, just because this is quite wrong, but you get 76 month, for example. Okay, this is false. But for example, if we just switch the numbers and did 120 divided 1,000 by 760,000, okay, if you just do it that way, okay, and then you basically just multiply it, you'll get 1.89 months. So this is something that's more accurate than what I gave you here, but this is just because the $1 million was just too large for these numbers. But basically that's it. Okay, so I hope you got it. So the advantages of payback period. What is it? So the advantages. It's easy, It's simple and fast to calculate. Okay, so non-time consuming. Okay, business managers can easily understand and use results obtained, so easy to understand. Again, that's nothing for non-time consuming. Okay, doesn't require much skill. And expertise. Since it's short-term measure of quick returns on investment, it is less prone to inaccuracies of long-term forecasting because it's short-term, so less external factors, okay, making it less prone to inaccuracies, which makes it more accurate. Of long-term forecasting. It can help firms with cash flow problems since they can use payback period to choose investment projects that can pay back more quickly than each other. So it can also help with cash flow. Okay. And then it is a useful method in a rapidly changing industries such as technology because again, it's short term. It's better for short term. It helps estimate how fast initial investment will be recovered before another machine can be purchased, right? So disadvantages of this method. So it ignores the overall profitability of the investment and only focuses on how fast it will pay back. So ignores the overall profitability. It does not consider the cash earned after payback period, which can influence major investment decisions. Okay. The annual cash flow could be affected by unexpected external changes in demand, which could negatively affect the payback period. So you can talk about that, but you can also, because again, I always talk about something very important in business management in every single video, which is unbalanced argument, right? So for every claim, there's a counterclaim. So for example, this and this, so both third points in the advantage and disadvantage, these 2 points can be used as a claim and the counterclaim because again, when you're asked to evaluate, when you're basically asked a 4 marker, 6 marker, 10 marker, you always have to bring up the counter argument. You always have to acknowledge the counter argument, right? So that's it. So now for average rate of return. So basically, the average rate of return measures the annual net return on investments as a percentage of its capital costs. So basically, as a percentage of the capital cost, basically, the investment itself. Okay. So the cost of the machinery, like capital like machinery. It says the profitability per annum generated by a project over a period of time. So when it's times 100, like I always say in every video, that means it's described in percentage like previously mentioned. Okay, so basically the formula is total return. So total returns. So you have to add them all. So year 1 plus year 2 plus year 3, etc. Capital cost. So cost of machinery or the capital itself and the years of usage. So you do these years of usage. In this case, let's say it's 3, whatever. And then the capital cost again. So yeah. So cost of machinery. Then you multiply by 100. This is just a formula. That's how you do it. So the advantages, it's unlike payback period. Unlike payback period, it uses all cash flows in the business. Okay. So it uses everything in the business. It shows the profitability of an investment over a period of time. Okay, so over a period of time. It shows profitability because payback period doesn't. It allows for easy comparison with other competing projects for better allocation of investment funds. Disadvantages, since it considers a longer time period, the useful life of an asset, there are likely to be forecasting errors. Okay, so for the opposite of payback period, it is long term. So it's more prone to inaccuracies. Okay. It does not consider cash inflows. 2 projects could have the same average rate of return, but one could pay back more quickly compared to the other due to fast cash inflows. Okay, so it does not talk about how quickly it is. It doesn't acknowledge this point. The effects on the time value of money are not considered. So the appreciation, depreciation. So they could be economic downturns. They could be economic booms. So basically downturn here or boom. So basically, when there's an economic boom, interest rates may increase, for example, or wages may increase, for example. So these two are problems. Let's say depreciation is basically the cost of machinery could decrease. Okay. Or basically, like the country could be having economic downturn and everything just becomes so much cheaper due to depreciation of the currency. Then you have the net present value. This is one of the most important ones. But basically, the net present value is a difference in the summation of present values of future returns and the original cost of investment. Discounted cash flow is a uses a discount factor that converts future values into present values, right? So this takes into consideration the value of money. So basically, we need to talk about the cost of investment, the net cash flow per year, and a discount factor. So we have here, so you need to draw a table. You have the year, you have the net cash flow. This is usually given to you, actually. Oh, these are given to you, never mind. So these are given to you. So the discount factor in year one is, in year zero is 1. In year two, and in year zero is 1. Okay? It always has to be 1. In year one, it could be 0.1345. And then like you have different ones for every year. You don't have to worry about these. These are given. These are given to you, okay? And what you have to do is basically the net cash flow, you basically multiply it by whatever the discount factor is. So whatever the discount factor is, you have to multiply it, okay? So in this case, let's say I just wrote A, B, C, D. So in this case, let's say 0.1345 is A. So here it's 100,000 times 0.1345. Okay, that's it really. So that's really it. Okay, so this is all you have to do for all of them. Okay, then once you do this, so this is step 1, is multiplying, doing this step where you multiply and you get your present values. After you end up getting your present value, after you end up getting your present values, what do you end up doing? You end up adding them. So year 1 plus year 2 plus year 3 plus year 4. Okay, so all of your present values, you add them, okay? And then what you end up getting is your total present values. So year 1 plus year 2, etc. Then minus the original cost of the investment, okay? So your total present values, like I said, it's basically, so your total present values is year 1, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. But then you have to subtract by the cost of the investment. So by the cost of the investment. Okay, so this is how you have to do it. You have to always subtract by the cost of investment. Keep that in mind. I hope you understood how you do it, but this is it's quite complicated if you're not doing exercises. If you want exercises on this chapter, I'm willing to do that, but basically this is how you do it. So basically, like I said, I'm going to repeat just because I feel like this is quite complicated. So what you do first, you have these are all given. Okay, these are all given. What you do is that first you just have Y. So this is the cost of the investment. Then year 1, you multiply the net cash flow by the discount factor. So you multiply, and you get your present value per year. Okay, then you add every present value. So year 1 plus year 2 plus year 3 plus year 4. And then you multiply it by Y, which is the original cost, the cost of investment, okay? And this is how you get your NPV. Now your advantages. So the advantage is that the opportunity cost and time value of money is put into consideration in its calculation. How is it done? That's why you have a discount factor. Okay, the discount factor shows the time value of money. This is due to the discount factor given to you. And into consideration in the calculation. So they consider that. Unlike the average rate of return, doesn't consider that. So it considers appreciation, depreciation. All cash flows, including their timing, are included in its computation as well. The discount rate can be changed to suit any expected changes in economic variables. So appreciation and depreciation are taken into consideration, such as variations in the interest rate. I mentioned that previously. And disadvantages include it is more complicated So it requires skill, unlike the payback period. To calculate payback period, it is more complicated to calculate payback period and average rate of return. It's more complicated than it can be used to compare investment projects with the initial cost outlay. Okay. And the discount rate the discount rate greatly influences final NPV results obtained, which may be affected inaccurate interest rates predictions. Okay, so basically this is the last one. It means that, okay, so it does give a discount factor, but what if the discount factor is inaccurate? If this is inaccurate, then it will affect the interest rate predictions. So it will affect the interest rate predictions, and what this happens is that the NPV will be very inaccurate. So this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Bye bye.